Tom Bower has just found the answer to the biggest royal mystery that most people didn't even know existed. A quiet puzzle hiding in the background of Meghan Markle's life, tucked behind royal titles, polished interviews, and a carefully built public image. For years, the world believed one story about Meghan, the Hollywood actress who became a duchess, with a clean and well-organized life story. But Bower says that story doesn't just bend a little, it breaks completely in half. According to him, once you start pulling at the loose threads in Meghan's story, you find something nobody expected, moments that don't add up, dates that don't line up, and a trail of records that tell a very different story about who Meghan really is and how old she might actually be. This isn't gossip. This isn't fan speculation. This is the kind of truth that shows up in printed documents, in old memories, and in the quiet statements of people who were there from the very beginning. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Because the question isn't just, how old is Meghan Markle? The bigger question is, why were parts of her life rewritten in the first place? Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Report Daily for more exclusive royal updates. Now let's begin where this unraveling truly starts, with a father who noticed something was wrong, before the royal dresses, before the palace gates. Before photographers shouted her name, Meghan Markle was simply a daughter. And Thomas Markle, her father, remembers those early days with the kind of clarity that most parents carry. He remembers her school plays, her childhood years, her dreams, and the timeline of her life long before the world ever cared about her age. But when Meghan became famous, Thomas noticed something strange. The story she was telling the world didn't match the timeline he carried in his own head. Dates felt shifted. Ages felt changed. Events were placed in years that simply didn't line up with what he had lived through alongside her. Thomas didn't storm onto talk shows. He didn't wave papers in the air. Instead, he spoke slowly, almost like someone giving a sworn statement. He described the Meghan he raised, a girl whose childhood events happened at certain times and in certain years, in ways that didn't match the public version that later appeared in palace press releases. He never accused, he never exaggerated. He simply suggested that Meghan's official birth year may not have been as accurate as the world was told. Coming from a father, those words carry a completely different kind of weight. This wasn't someone guessing. This wasn't someone digging around online. This was someone who held her baby photos in his own hands. Someone who remembered the truth because he witnessed it firsthand. And Thomas Markle's quiet concerns became the first crack, a small but powerful break in the smooth royal story. A crack just big enough for a strange, forgotten piece of evidence to slip through. Stay tuned to Royal Report Daily. We bring you the stories others won't. March 1997. Teenage girls across America were flipping through 17 magazine, the well-known, glossy publication filled with fashion tips, college dreams, and young faces hoping to break into the world. Deep inside that issue on page 90 sits a small list of names. Nothing special at first glance, just hopeful young people featured for school programs and youth competitions. And then one line stands out: Meghan Markle, age 21, not 15, not a typo, not a rounding error, 21 printed in ink. Sold across the country, stored in archives long before she ever met Harry, long before any PR team existed to shape her public identity. If this magazine is correct, then Meghan was not born in 1981. Her real birth year would be closer to 1975 or 1976, making her approximately 6 years older than the world has been told. 6 years might sound small, but in a public identity, 6 years can rewrite everything. Her graduation age, her acting debut age, her age when she entered Hollywood, her age when she met Prince Harry, her age when she married into royalty. And suddenly, the version of Meghan the world was introduced to the rising 36-year-old actress stepping into a royal fairy tale. Might not be the version reflected in her earliest records. This magazine didn't whisper a rumor. It shouted a contradiction. A contradiction that turned Meghan's age from a fixed, settled fact into the opening chapter of something much larger. Just when the age mystery seemed complicated enough, another unexpected twist appeared, one involving Meghan's first pregnancy and the birth of Archie. According to Tom Bower, the story surrounding Archie's arrival wasn't just confusing, it was constructed. His claim wasn't a loud accusation. It wasn't drama created for headlines. It was a calm statement, almost clinical, based on years of conversations with people who had direct knowledge of what actually happened. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily now. Don't miss any breaking royal news. He suggested that the polished version of Archie's birth, the one Meghan and Harry shared with the public, didn't match how things actually went behind closed doors. And this wasn't the kind of mistake someone makes by accident. This was the kind of story that sounded almost too perfect. A peaceful labor, 2 epidurals, a quick recovery, a glowing duchess whisked home with her newborn in just 2 hours. It read more like the ending of a movie than a real hospital experience. And that's exactly what made people pause, because real birth stories rarely look like fairy tales. They are messy, slow, unpredictable, and always guided by strict medical rules. So, when Bauer pointed out these contradictions, he opened the door to a second mystery. If the age timeline had gaps, the birth story had entire chapters missing. And that's when someone unexpected stepped forward. Someone who had worked inside Portland Hospital itself. Word eventually came from inside Portland Hospital, the very place where Meghan reportedly gave birth. Not a fan theory, not a rumor whispered online. This came from someone who knew how the hospital actually operated, someone familiar with its rules, its procedures, and how deliveries really happen within those private, heavily monitored walls. And according to this insider, the story Harry shared in his memoir, Spare, simply didn't line up with reality. First, the detail about 2 epidurals. In medical practice, epidurals don't work like a double dose of painkillers. You don't receive 2 separate ones within a few hours. An epidural is placed once and runs continuously. The idea of Meghan receiving 2 was described as medically unusual, almost impossible under standard procedures. Then came the timeline. According to Harry, Meghan gave birth, recovered, and left the hospital, all within just 2 hours. But anyone familiar with childbirth knows that's not how it works. After an epidural, you cannot walk for hours. You can't simply stand up, gather your things, and head home. Your vital signs must be monitored, your blood pressure checked, your mobility assessed, your body observed for any complications. Even under perfect conditions, this process takes significant time. Royal Report Daily brings you the truth behind the royal headlines. And then there's the drive. Portland Hospital to Frogmore Cottage is nearly an hour away. That means everything. The delivery, the medical checks, and the entire discharge process would have had to fit inside a single hour. To hospital staff, this wasn't just unlikely, it was logistically impossible. Yet the public was handed a story wrapped in calmness, candles, and wellness ball imagery. The insider who spoke out didn't describe chaos or conspiracy. They simply said, "That's not how it works here." And that was more than enough to deepen the mystery even further. The deeper you look into the story of Archie's birth, the more the contradictions pile up. This wasn't just about epidurals or timing. It was about medical rules, rules that exist for very serious reasons. According to multiple medical professionals familiar with higher-risk pregnancies, Meghan would have been classified as a geriatric pregnancy. The term sounds harsh, but it simply means she was over 35. Mothers in this category receive extra monitoring, extra caution, and longer observation periods to make sure both mother and baby are safe. But the story told to the public didn't reflect that level of care at all. Harry described a peaceful birth setting, dim lights, scented candles, birthing balls, and a calm atmosphere. Beautiful, yes, but also completely unrealistic for someone classified as high risk. Hospitals like Portland do not allow spa-like settings for mothers who require close and constant observation. The lighting, the equipment, even the layout of the room must follow strict medical guidelines. Then there was the mention of preeclampsia, one of the most serious complications a pregnant woman can face. If Meghan truly experienced even early signs of this condition, medical protocol would require magnesium treatments, continuous monitoring, and strict bed rest, not a 2-hour hospital stay and a quick drive home through London traffic. So the story the world received didn't match medical reality. It matched something else entirely, narrative management. It was almost as if someone wanted the birth to appear effortless, graceful, and magical, the perfect royal moment. The kind that photographs beautifully and supports the image of a fairy tale. But real life doesn't bend for stories. Medical facts don't soften for public relations. And every single step of Meghan's official birth narrative felt shaped, edited, and trimmed to perfection, which makes people ask, if the birth story was this carefully polished, what else might have been?